Have you ever been curious about affiliate marketing? More specifically, how to use affiliate marketing when you have a very small or maybe even non existent audience? My guest today is Whitney Bonds, and Whitney Bonds has created a YouTube channel of over 140,000 subscribers and a multi six figure business. But she started by using affiliate marketing when she had an audience of zero. And today, Whitney and I are going to talk more about her story and her journey and why she has prioritized diversifying her income. One of those ways is obviously through affiliate marketing. There are different ways that you can use it, and it's something that I'm inspired to start using after our interview today. As I mentioned, Whitney already has a very prominent and thriving YouTube channel where she shares step by step guides and information on building a sustainable online business. We had a lot to talk about. I'm so excited for you to hear more about Whitney's story, so let's get into today's episode.
This is the Authentic Brand Builders Podcast with Michelle Knight.
Whitney, I am so excited to dive into our conversation today and to have you on the Authentic Brand Builders podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
We were chatting, as all podcasts do, before. I always joke that I should probably record those
I
because,
know.
I feel like
That's
they're
what
good.
the juice is right there, right?
It really is. It really is. And we already have so much in common, even though we obviously just met. And I'm so excited for our listeners to hear your story because obviously that is a huge focus for us on the podcast. So let's get into it, shall we? Can
Yeah.
you share your story with us? Really, how you dove into the world of entrepreneurship and a business and give us the goods on what that's looked like.
Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for 6 years now. Before this, I was working a 9 to 5, corporate life. I was a marketing manager and I was so comfortable. I'm like, I'm good. I literally use the words, I am never going to be an entrepreneur because that's too much work. Who wants to do that? And the thing that changed was when I became pregnant with my second child, I completely just changed. I'm like, I want to be at home with raising my kids. I don't want other people raising them. My son, I felt like it was just okay, but I was having my aunt and mother-in-law, they were keeping him. And I'm like, to give them another kid is just
Mm.
not going to happen. So I'm like, I want to be the one to be able to raise my kids. So I said, by the time I have my second daughter, I want to be able to work from home and raise my kids. But then the problem was my job was not going to allow me to do that. And I was thinking like, okay, so what am I going to do? I want to be able to quit my job by the time I have my daughter. So the first thing I did was starting to Google everything. I was looking, how do you make money from home with kids? And all I kept seeing were these ways you can do it, but I never saw actual moms that were doing it. And I'm like, I need to know that a mom can do this with kids, and I need to know, I want to hear from them. And I kept searching, I couldn't find it. Long story short, about 4 months, wait, no, I'm just searching, stressed out, pregnant, and I'm trying to figure out, I have to figure this out because I want to quit my job when I have my daughter. I got a short timeline here. And long story short, Google was not giving me the answers I wanted. So then I went to God. Like that was the thing. I'm like, Lord, what can I do? I was so desperate. And that's when I prayed. It didn't happen right away, but I'll never forget. I was 4 months pregnant and I woke up with the idea to start a blog for moms like me who are looking for legitimate ways to make money from home. This was my problem. So I'm like, how could I start this? But I knew it was like a God idea. So I was like, okay, I know it's a God idea. So I got to just go with it. So I didn't worry about the how. I just said, okay. And I was literally in a Facebook group one day and it was a podcaster and she was put in a request and say, I'm doing a podcast on successful stay-at-home moms. If you are one of those, let me know what you do and put in your email address. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my content right here. So what I did, I reached out to those moms and I told them the idea that I had. I just said, I have an idea. I want to start a website and interview successful moms and share your story for people like me. They all said yes. And I sent them a Google document. They even told me everything down to how much did they make per month. And they don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
So long story short, I'm like, okay, this is my content. So I created a website, had no idea how to create a website. It was the most frustrating thing I've ever had to do because I didn't have the money to just go ahead and hire someone out. So I had to do it myself. And I launched it January 31st and crickets. Like I have a marketing degree and I didn't even think about marketing. I just thought about, let me just build it. No one came to my website when I launched it in January 31st. But then I said, okay, now it's here. How do I market it? One of the things the reason I started a blog, I was inspired by these bloggers making $100,000 a month. And I said, I only need $2,000 a month. So I said, if
Mhm.
I can just make a fraction of what they're doing, then I can do it. So I studied them and I said, okay, now that I have a blog, how can I get traffic like they're getting traffic to their website? And one of the things that they were using was Pinterest and Google. I didn't want to get into SEO because that was completely Greek to me. So I was like, let me just start with Pinterest. So I started with Pinterest and I started doing really well with that. And I'll never forget, it was just things would go viral on Pinterest and it was really good. And then when they were done going viral, it was nothing. So I was like, okay, I
Mhm.
have to find something that's going consistently going to make me money. And that was SEO. So I was forced to learn SEO because I knew that that was the missing link to continuously get consistent traffic like the bloggers making $100,000 a month. So long story short, my first year, I implemented these strategies that these bloggers were doing, and I only made $5,000 the first year. But then, like, it was like the very next year, my blog just went crazy, and I made over $200,000, and that was like life changing for my family and I.
Mhm.
And that started everything. Long story short, to get to how I became a YouTuber, Pinterest was a main driver of traffic for me. In 2019, when they had a new algorithm change, I lost all my traffic. So I was getting like 100,000 page views per month. And then it went all the way down to 1,000. And so that had a big deal to do with my even
Mhm.
income. So I'm like, how can I diversify my income? I can't no longer depend on Pinterest. And then one day I interviewed this YouTuber for my website and I asked him, how much do you make? And he told me in just the month of January, he made $30,000 in just ad revenue. And that was enough for me to say, okay, where's my camera?
Yeah, yeah.
Going back to my 9 to 5, I had to get over my fears. I had so much anxiety about being on camera. But I asked myself, what do I want more? Do I want to stay home and raise my kids and still be able to make money at the same time? Or do I care more about what people think and my own insecurities? And what I wanted more was to be at home and raise my kids. So I got over myself and then I started a YouTube channel, and here we are 6 years later, YouTuber making like last 12 months, I've made like over $300,000, and it's just
Amazing.
completely just changed my world. So that's my story.
Oh my, we have so much in common. Like, I know we just met and like I'm listening to you. Like, I started my business right after my son was born. I also had no intentions of staying home. And like he was born and I was like, "Oh no, I want to be home." Like
Yeah.
I worked in marketing and communication and I felt like
Oh, wow.
I was on Instagram scrolling one day and saw a friend from college who was coaching. And that opened my whole world to like, whoa, this is something people are doing. And I love that we're sharing like the different approaches that we had to starting it. Like the desire was the same, but like how we started, because that's something I love about your story is you've always prioritized diversifying. And this is what we nerded out about
Yeah.
beforehand. We're like you said, Pinterest, right? We'll use Pinterest as an example. I got that hit too. Mine came at the end of 2019 to 2020.
Oh,
And
wow.
we were able to actually pivot our entire strategy and like make it work. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
like it didn't work for everyone in that way. And that's
Yeah.
why I think it's so important for us that like there's so many marketing strategies and honestly all of them work, but which ones are going to work for you at the right
Exactly.
time?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to dive into this. Like
But
anyone who's a regular listener is like probably listening to my voice and was like, Michelle is nerding out right now. One thing I'd love to talk about before we get into some strategy and some other
yeah.
things is like you were like, this is what I wanted, and you put yourself out there before you had all the pieces figured out. I mean, you've
Yeah.
been doing this for, like you said, 6 years now. Would you say that that truly has always been kind of like the pivotal turning point for you when you've had to go to a different platform or change your strategy? Have you always acted before like having all of the pieces in place?
No, not always. I think it was just kind of like just I feel like as an entrepreneur, you always just have that you want to have that certainty of things are going to be okay. And
Mhm.
when you have that feeling of uncertainty, it's not a good feeling to be in. So when I realized that Pinterest would do well, but then it would just tank, I didn't like that feeling of just having to rely on a pin going viral. It's just not a good
Mhm.
feeling. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something else because I can't. If it doesn't go viral, then I'm not making any money. So that is just trying to continuously think of how can I have a steady income. I think that's the thing that I'm always thinking about, like, okay, what's going to make my, continuously make my income steady. just for that
Mm.
security. I think we all want that security. That's why many people stay at a 9 to 5. And even in entrepreneurship, you want that security of just knowing that, you can still make money. So I think that's the thing that is just driving me always constantly is just the security of continuously having an income.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot here, like sustainability, like creating sustainable businesses, because especially in today's day and age, it's so easy to see someone say that they had like 100K month, but like, did they keep having
I
money?
know,
Like, did they keep making money? Like, I really would like you to share more of
right.
those details,
And
and
then
it can be
how long
really.
did it take you to work to get that? It's just like they don't talk about that part. Yeah.
No, so I love that you shared that, and even sharing your first year, like you said, you made $5,000, which of
Yeah.
course, like a lot of people would give up at
Yeah.
that point in time, but you didn't, and look what happened the following year. So
Yeah.
I love all of that about your story, but I would love to talk about this idea of like diversifying your income, because this is something that you talk about on your YouTube channel, which is phenomenal, by the way. We will link that in all the show notes. You talk about it on Instagram as well. If someone was just getting started and they're not quite sure exactly what they wanted to build their business around, or maybe they're looking for an additional revenue stream to create that consistency, what
Yeah.
are 5 things that you're really seeing or predicting working in 2025?
Yeah, one thing I always just tell people is find someone who is doing what you want to do and then study them.
Hmm.
Because I feel like success leaves clues, so follow them. So that's is literally what I did. I found these bloggers making $100,000 a month. I only need a little bit of that. So I'm like, if I just follow them and do what they're doing, then I should have at least a fraction of that success. So I just feel like it's not really rocket science. Just find out what's working and then study them. And when I say study them, like we are such at an advantage where you don't even have to listen to people what they say. You can just watch what they do. So
Mm.
I can literally, if I find someone who's doing what I want to do, then I'm going to say, okay, let me see how are they doing it. So I'm going to go through the different social media platforms. Which one are they getting the most views on? Which one is getting the most engagement? Which one are they promoting the most on? Like I can see what's working and I can see what's their funnel like. Are they driving people to their email list? And then do they have a product? How much does it cost? What does it look like? What's their offer? I can literally dissect exactly what they're doing and then I can make it my own, put my own spin to it and follow the same strategy that they're using. So I don't know if it's in 5 steps, but I necessarily would just focus on finding out what do I want to do? Is what are other people that are doing that's working? And then like re-engineer what they're doing and then make it my own and then follow the same proven steps that those people right now are still doing and do that. That's what I would do.
I talk about this all the time where I'm like, we see somebody, we're like, look what so and so is doing. But I guarantee you, they saw somebody else do that, and they saw someone else do
Oh,
that,
there's
and they
no
saw
new
someone.
idea.
It's like nothing's new. The
No.
strategies aren't new. And that's what I always try to tell my clients and my community is like, all of these things work. It really is just about kind of your dedication to the process.
Yeah.
And so I love that you point that out, that you could study someone's. I do this all the time. Like
Me
I
too.
just study people. And I think part of that is our marketing brain as well.
Yeah.
But for sure, just like taking the time, if you don't have the money to invest, you have the time to invest, right? And
Exactly.
you have to
Exactly.
make that decision early on. Like, am I able to invest money? I was not. Or am I able to invest time? And if time is what I got, then let's do it. And then when you start
Exactly.
making money, you can just do that and save yourself a bunch of time in the
Yeah,
process.
and I always say this stuff is temporary. Like I feel like you do have to sacrifice it, but I've always feel like if you know it's not gonna last forever, then yeah, you can go without watching the Netflix show you want to binge on. It's just kind of like where are your priorities? I see so many people are like, I want that, but what are you doing? I just
Mhm.
like they just want to see something, but they're not doing anything. So it just kind of frustrates me. Like you gotta do something.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah, I love that. You talk a lot about affiliate marketing, and I think
Yeah,
this is a really interesting conversation. We see it all the time online, especially, but you have quite a bit of content that talks about affiliate marketing, and I love this as an additional revenue stream.
yeah,
So, I was wondering if you could share a little bit of even your story of how you got started with affiliate
yeah.
marketing and, some of the things that you think are working today.
Yeah, I love affiliate marketing because you don't have to have like I feel like everyone wants to talk about having your own product and I love that. I feel like having your own something is awesome. But what about those people who don't know what they want to do yet? Like it's now taking me. I now after 6 years finally have my own product and that's just because of all the years of me just trying to figure out what's going to be my thing. So I didn't
Mhm.
have to figure out what my thing was starting out. I could just find out what can help people and then promote that product or service and then make a commission. So for those people who don't know what affiliate marketing, it's basically when you refer a product or service to someone using a unique referral link. And if they purchase using your unique referral link, then you get to earn a commission. And this is literally how I made my first money with my blog.
Mhm.
And what I was doing, I interviewed a mom who was a bookkeeper, and she had no experience. So I asked her, like, what did you do? How did you become a bookkeeper if you didn't have any experience? And she took a course, and the course taught her everything she needs to know on how to become a bookkeeper. So then I reached out to the course that she took, and I asked them and said, can I be an affiliate? So they gave me my own unique affiliate link. So in her interview where I'm sharing her story, I just seamlessly talk about, when I say course, I would hyperlink the course she took, so people would know, oh, that's the course she took. And
Mhm.
then so they're reading her story, they're getting inspired, and they're saying, "Oh, if that's what I want, I might may need to take that course too to get the results or similar results that she took." So that's the way that I use affiliate marketing, is basically like showing other people's success stories and then sharing the products and services that they may have used to get there, or my own self. So if I use something and somebody wants to know about it, I talk about the products that I use. But I love it because it's a total win-win. Like, I get to help you learn how this product or service can help you, and then I get to get paid for it. So to me, it's like a total win-win. But I think also this is where integrity can get a little loose, because I feel like I see so many people promoting things, and I'm like, they don't even use that. They wouldn't even use that. And I have lost, like, I get sponsorship opportunities all the time, and it's kind of like affiliate opportunities too. But I just don't do a lot of sponsorships because I've never used these products, and I don't want
Mhm.
to be promoting something that I don't even believe in to for other people. So I just feel like the reason I do so well with affiliate marketing is because people trust me, and I give a reason why. Try this out because of this. It's not just try this out because I want to make some money. It's because it can actually help them, and I can back it up.
I love what you shared too about obviously integrity. We love that here. But also the talking about sharing someone's story and then linking back to like what helped them achieve success. It's
Yeah,
such a genius way, especially for people who are maybe just really wanting to focus on a company that or a business that builds community or shares stories or
oh,
elevates
100%.
stories. We
Yeah,
have so many people who come into Brand Mary or message me again, say, I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I know I want to bring people together. What a great example of a way to do that, to elevate people and then to make money on the side of that. So that's
yeah,
amazing. I think a lot of people also forget as they build their business that the products that they use all the time and they're talking about naturally, like just put a link on it.
yeah,
I think I use Kajabi. It's a platform I've used
yeah.
forever. I think I looked at the math the other day. I've done like $45,000 in affiliate, just
Crazy.
with that, and it's truly crazy.
And
It's
you can feel
just
good about it because you use it. So it's just like,
yes.
I'm just sharing what I would have shared anyway, you know?
Mhm. I love the angle that you're sharing though, because I think we see a lot of affiliate marketing, like you said, just being like people online who are doing, small things. And it's like, how are you building up a sustainable income stream around that? But
Yeah,
referring courses and products and software and things usually has a higher payout, I have
100%.
found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. Like, courses are like my number one way that I make probably the most money, and then products. Like, or like, one of the things that I promote is a LLC, because it's a company where you can just literally just they'll do everything for you.
Mhm.
And I've used the company before, and just by me sharing it has made me like over 100,000.
It's crazy.
So it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm just sharing what I've used, and people, this is my area, so it just makes sense for me to say, if you want to do an LLC, here's step by step how to do it, and it's up to you to decide. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything, but this is just what I use, and here you go.
It's giving that's what I say, selling is just giving options,
Yeah,
right? It's just saying, "Hey, if this is something you're interested in, you
yeah,
trust me, you trust my opinion, here is a next step for you if you wanna take it." So,
exactly. Yeah.
I love success stories around that, that's so good. Let's talk a little bit about YouTube because we see the
Yes.
YouTube plaque behind you. I told you I stalked your YouTube channel. I love your videos.
Thank
I
you.
really think YouTube needs to be a priority for entrepreneurs in
100%.
2025.
Yeah.
How are you using YouTube? And is there anything new that you're planning on doing this year, experimenting with that, you think is going to dial up results for you?
Yeah, so okay, so didn't really care about this until recently. I have two competitors, I'll say. They talk about the same stuff that I do. they just got to 1 million subscribers, and I didn't think that was something I wanted, but then when I saw that, I'm like, what? Their
Yeah.
content is not that good. So I'm like, there's no way they're about to have 1 million subscribers and their content is not that good. And I know mine is better. So I even after this video, after this podcast, I have a meeting with my editor, and we're gonna go over the top videos that my competitors have done and that have done well for them, and that I'm like, oh, I can do a video on that. So that's what I recommend people do. Do what's working and make it better. So what I'm doing now is I've done my research. I have all my videos that they've done that I think that I could do a better job at, that have potential for virality, or however you say it.
Mhm.
And so we're just gonna go through it and talk about how do we want to title it? What will we do for the thumbnail? And I always say with YouTube, you have to focus first before you even do the video content on your title and thumbnail, because if they don't click the whole video you put all that time into, it would not be watched. So you that is the most important thing you need to focus on, is your title and your thumbnail, and then the first 30 seconds, because if you don't give them a reason to stay, YouTube is not gonna push it. Those are the biggest things that I think that you should look at. If it depends on what your strategy is too. My strategy is vain. I just want the plaque, and the money will come with it. So, but I always say, what's your goal? If your goal is to make money, there was this guy. His name is Jeffrey. He had 5,000 subscribers, and he was making $70,000 a month, and that was because he was selling a $2,000 product, and he
Mhm.
only talks about men's relationships, and that's it. And so what you can, what I'm saying this because you can niche down, have a small audience, but if you have something to offer them, that the subscribers does not matter. So that's what I'm trying to just encourage people. It all depends on what's your goal. I just wanted the plaque because I want it. And I
Yeah,
will say it does give you instant credibility.
it
People
does.
say, oh my gosh, you got 100. So that is the night we're like, we think vain, but it depends if you care. I just, and then when my son said I can't do it. So that's another thing too. I got him saying that I can't do it.
You gotta prove everybody wrong.
Face. So yeah, so that's my goal, but that's how I would get there. And so if someone wants to get there too, I would suggest the same thing. Find out what's doing well, focus on your titles and your thumbnails beforehand, and just work to make the best video. But
Mhm.
the topics really matter too. Like, what are you doing videos on? Can it reach your right audience if that's what you want to focus on? Or do you want to be niche and just stay in your lane, which I highly recommend actually. Stay in your lane. And then if you have a product or service, then promote that, because you can make so much money on YouTube. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we talk a lot about niching down, especially when you don't have a large audience, because, like you were saying, the more niche you are with the content that you're creating that leads directly to whatever it is you're selling, the higher the conversion rate is ultimately going to be. And then as
Exactly.
you get bigger, you can stretch those wings out and,
Yeah.
talk about whatever the heck you want. And I think we sometimes see people with really large accounts and we're like, but they're talking about this, and this. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, A, we don't know how much they made on the back end of
That's
all of
true.
that. And B, they've been doing it for a while, right? So
Yeah.
they've built up that credibility and that audience trusts them, back to kind of what you said. So you've got to build that trust. What a stellar tip on looking at what's working for your competitors. I think this goes back to what you said in the beginning
Yeah,
of
it's
like
literally.
finding people who are doing what you want to do and just like seeing what's working for them.
Yeah.
And as we know, YouTube, Google, all those SEO platforms love updated versions of content.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's right there. Like I made a YouTube video that's like how to never run out of content ideas, because literally I think that any information that we want on what we should be saying or the content we should creating, it's already on the internet. We
Yeah.
just have to look for it.
Yeah.
And so I love that you shared that's going to be a big strategy you're focused on this year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Obviously, we talked a lot about diversifying our marketing and again, going back to diversifying income. So, we talked about affiliate. What are some other things that you might encourage people to look into if they're looking for additional revenue streams heading
Yeah.
into the year?
Definitely, like, so as far as marketing, I'm so big on email lists too. I feel like email, I have like a 50% open rate on one of my email lists, and it's like over, well, I think it's like 9,000 on that list. So it's just a little smaller. But I just feel like being able to relate to your subscribers,
Mhm.
and I have to tell you this. Now, I feel like this is kind of brilliant. So I have the same subject line that I send out to all my every single week, same subject line. It's your must read clips for, and I put the date for this Monday this week. And it 50% of 9,000, so 4 or 5, it's usually 5,000 people are opening my emails every week. And it's because I just provide good value. But I thought about, I'm like, I don't want to continuously think about a subject line every single week that's going to drive them to open it. So I just trained them to say, oh, it's an email from Whitney, let me open it. And it's like, I'm so proud of that. I like to share that little thing. Like,
That's amazing. So freaking smart. We're all about working smarter and not harder. I
yeah,
have not heard anyone talk about that before. Now
yeah.
watch out. Everyone's going to be using your cool
I know I
tips.
should, yeah, I should keep that one under my rug. But yeah, so I love it. So that's how I have a great relationship with my email subscribers. So every time I send out an email, I know they're gonna open it. So anytime I want to promote something, that's always been a good driver for me to get sales that way. But I'm not always promoting something like, but one thing I always do though, I do always post a YouTube video in there. So I give them a reason to click on my YouTube video that I made, and then I talk about some other stuff on my YouTube list. I mean, on my email list. So just be like a good quote I saw or just something I'm thinking about. But every time I send out an email, I like the first thing I say is I give a little update on where I am. So I feel like people are just like to
Mhm.
go along with my story, which is kind of your
We
thing.
love storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that is the biggest thing because they wanna see what am I up to? And then,
Mhm.
like, what and also I'm very vulnerable. I talk about things that, like, me, I always get messages like, "I'm so thankful for you sharing this because blah, blah, blah." But, yeah, so I feel like email is so huge. It's the only thing we own. We are just running on rented audiences when we are on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We learn TikTok that just
Mhm.
can't depend on anything. So I just think that my biggest thing to say, like, find a platform. And actually, one thing that I'm working on too is I want to diversify. So if YouTube ever went away, what would I have to drive traffic to my email list? You have to have a driver. And so one thing I'm working on right now is Instagram. Like I'm not a fan of Instagram. I don't like social media, but I know that it's a great avenue to get people on my email list and just visibility is just the biggest thing. If you can get visible, if more visibility, that's just going to make you make more money in the long run anyway. So I'm just working on reposting whatever I do on Instagram to TikTok. And then I also want to get into LinkedIn, but I just
Mhm.
wanna just kinda stay in my lane a little bit, get into the Instagram, TikTok world, and then get into LinkedIn. But I just don't like to have all my eggs in one basket, and YouTube is the primary source right now for me.
Yeah, and I think we both talked about this in the beginning of, like, kind of learning, like, especially, like, when Pinterest took that hit, like, it
Yeah,
hurt. It hurt a lot for those of us that were getting that traffic, and so we've learned, and I think that's honestly the biggest lesson that I would want people to take away from this episode is, like, just try new things, right? It is
yeah,
rented land, and, like, you're killing it on YouTube, and it would be so easy for you to just be like, "Well, it is what it is," but you know that we always kind of have to be thinking ahead and
yeah,
really kind of diversify our marketing, and
yeah.
so I
Yeah,
love
you
that you share
cannot
that.
get caught up on just one platform. I've learned the hard way.
Oh my gosh. I know, but what a great lesson for everyone
Yeah,
else.
exactly. I like, hey, let's learn from me. Do not just get so comfortable in one platform that you feel like you're not going to venture out in something else. Because I mean, like I said, the more eyes on you is better. So it's just like, why not diversify, especially when you can? But
Yeah.
master one. I always say, like, first master one and then move on. So when I mastered Pinterest, then I went to Google. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I call it phasing out, right? Like you
Oh, I
you
like
get
that.
really good at this, and then we add phase 2 and then phase 3, and then your repurposing strategy just works for you at that point in time.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, getting into Instagram Reels and stuff, you probably have a ton of, like, YouTube content that you can even use over on that platform.
Yeah, and I need to do that actually. I feel so lost when it comes to Instagram. I'm like, what's my identity? I'm like, I know me, but then it's like on there, I'm like, should I do? I don't know. It's been a learning process, and I like challenges because it's new. It's a challenge though. I'm just trying to figure out how do I want to display myself on the Instagram, and I'm doing what I tell other people to do. Find someone's doing what you want to do, and see if it's working for you. If that's what you want to do, then follow that what they're doing. So I'm
Yeah, and
still trying to
I
figure that out.
thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable about that, because I just think people are like, "Well, they have it all figured out," and we're always trying to figure something new out. Like,
Yeah,
my clients are always like, "I just want to figure it out," and I'm like, it doesn't just ever get to the point where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, we have it all figured out, because you should continuously be looking for opportunities to diversify or level up or try something new. So thank you for sharing that, because
Yeah, no
I
problem.
think it's an important message to hear. Well, I mean, I feel like we could talk forever
I
because
know.
we have so much in common, and but I loved hearing your take on building a business as well, because you've taken a different route than I personally have, and so I love hearing stories from other entrepreneurs. And I think you're a fantastic person to just talk about wealth overall, and I know you put together a freebie, the wealth blueprint, for our
Yes.
listeners, and I'm so excited to share that. We'll link that in the show notes. I peeked it. I looked at it. I was like, this
Oh,
is
good.
great. Yeah. So I also like to test things before I refer them to my
Oh, good.
audience.
I like that.
But you talk a great deal about the mindset behind,
Yeah.
wealth and money. So I'd love to just wrap it up. If you could share like one thing in terms of the mindset around wealth that has really helped you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think it's just like the mindset of just knowing that value is what equates to more money, basically. The more value that you can have, the more money you can make. So now that I have more value knowing what I know now, even the mistakes that I've made, I can make money off of just telling people, well, don't do this and don't do that, because I have that knowledge and they want to learn from me, from my, I don't want to say failures, but from things that I've learned from. So I just feel like the just getting in the game and learning and just knowing that you have value, the things that even didn't work for you, that's valuable. So I just think just knowing that you got to have some value, and the more value, I think it's a quote. It's like your income is in direct proportion to the amount of value you can have in the marketplace.
Mm,
So that is
yeah.
what I would just say, is just focus on like, what do I have? And everyone has something. You were not born yesterday. So the things that you've learned and gone through is so valuable to someone who is not yet in that position. And that is what you can share. So don't think, so you have value. So to learn how to share that, and that can equate to earning an impressive amount of money.
Yeah, and that's why storytelling is so important, and just understanding your
Yeah.
story through the process. And it still blows me away. My best download that I've ever created, and I've created a lot of freaking freebies, was like 15 lessons. And it
Wow.
was just
Yeah.
me sharing lessons and linking to resources, obviously.
Oh, I
And it's
love
one
that.
of our top like downloads we've ever had in terms of conversions. And so I love that you shared that as a mindset. And I have the data to back that up, that people
Yeah.
actually do care. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Well, Whitney, it was a pleasure to have you. If someone wants to come stalk you like I did on YouTube and Instagram, where can we find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, and just go to youtube.com/Whitney Bonds. And then on Instagram, I'm because I'm like still figuring this out. I think I might even start a brand new account that's just business related. So, but right now, if you want to follow me, it would be at Whitney Bonds _101. And
Okay.
I'll talk about my new channel there or whatever. But
Yeah, and we'll link everything. So you can always head to brandmary.com to get all the links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, they're going to be right below in the description as well. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your lessons and your value with us. It was such a pleasure to have you and to meet you.
thank you so much. So thanks for having me.